What is up, guys? Welcome to this video. Today we're gonna do something fairly interesting. Since we're approaching the end of the year, uh, by the time I'm recording this video is the 10th of December 2025, so pretty much 21 days left. So it's already that time of the year where people just do like their Spotify Wrapped, their I don't know, their Instagram Wrapped or something. There's even YouTube Wrapped this year. So I thought I would just join the trend in some way. I think most book YouTubers, book talkers, and those people that produce these kinds of content, this kind of content, just by the end of the year, um, just pick up all the books that they read and just sit in front of the camera and talk about it. So this is my book wrapped. If we're gonna talk in like general terms, today I'm going to talk about all the books that I read this year. Uh, there are 18 books in this list, which I read, and I'm not gonna lie, I got really surprised by the amount because I didn't think it was that much. Um, if I compare it to last year's, it's just so much different. Like, I think last year I read like 6 books. Yeah, it was terrible. I was just focusing on other things. And this year I just got to sitting around and reading a bit more. Um, but if I'm being honest, it's not like reading consistently. I just think every time I needed to chill out a little bit, every time I read, I had like some time laying around. I would just pick up a book instead of just scrolling through TikTok and YouTube, everything. So I guess that's why like I read so many books this year. Probably because I had my mind a bit more focused into that sort of stuff. But other than that, I just wanted to tell you guys. I know it's been a while. Like I just forget to record these kinds of videos. But anyways, I am trying to remember things properly, and just wanted to share the news. Um, going to my seventh semester of college, which is a big achievement. I'm not gonna lie, it was really hard to come to this point. Okay, but I'm more than halfway through. That I'm 60% into my law school degree, and that is exceptional. That is so much fun. So yeah, I'm not 70% because I am starting my 7th semester and my course is composed by 10 semesters. So yeah, I'm 60% finished. So yeah. Other than that, let's get started into the video. Um, I am not. I did not put these books in a certain order. Just pick them randomly and gonna talk about them for a short period of time, not more than like a minute and a half. That's what I have for most of these books. So yeah, let's get started. First things first, Poesias Completas by Álvares de Azevedo, or this is a collection of poems by one of my favorite authors, who's called Álvares de Azevedo. He is a Brazilian author. Most of these, I guess there's only one book in this entire pile that is in English. So yeah, 99% of these books are written in Portuguese. But I did pick the um, the English title. So yeah, you're not gonna be. I'm not gonna embarrass myself in this video. Sorry for the little interruption and changing of lighting. I am so sorry. Anyways, let's keep going. So yeah, most of these books are in Brazilian Portuguese. So yeah, but I did pick up the the English title for the book. So you're not gonna be like all lost and everything. This one in particular is simply like a collection of poems, like a complete collection of poems by this author. And I did read not all the way through. I did not read all the way through, but I did read most of it because it was part of my my anniversary with my girlfriend, and I wanted to, to pick some romantic poems, and I did know that Álvares de Azevedo is one of the best, so I just did what was best, picked up a bunch of my poem books and just read them. I could put like a lot of those books here. Like I read like 4 or 5 books, poem collections, but this one I read almost all the way through. The others I just read some pieces, some collected parts, some fractions that I didn't know that were pretty romantic. You know. So other than that, let's go to the next. Definitely speaking more than a minute and a half. This one is one of my favorite books of all time, which sounds a bit stupid because this is quite a stupid book. Like, it's a pretty simple one. It's called Eleanor M. Park, written by Rainbow Rowell. It is a romance, and it's a pretty dumb romance. Like, it's childish. Not dumb, but childish. So, yeah, if you like childish romance, you will probably like this book. I don't. The first time I read this book, like I cried a lot. I am a sentimental guy, so I cried a lot. But I didn't really enjoy the ending. But as I got to read it a second time, I just thought it was a really good book in general. Like, it was a good book, and the ending is not that bad. And as you read it more and more and more, I think I am already in like my third read of this book. Um, you kind of understand the point. I've read it in different parts of my life at different ages, and I can certainly see some maturity in the end. Like, it's just like a wine that has been sitting in barrels for a couple of years, and it's just starting to pick up some some flavor. That's what I think about this book. But again, it sounds a bit stupid since it's quite a simple book, quite simple book. So, next book, The Stranger by Albert Camus. Albert Camus is my favorite author, my second favorite author actually. Yeah, he was my favorite author for a long time, but he sort of lost his throne for one author, which is also in this list. But Albert Camus and his book *The Stranger*, *The Myth of Sisyphus*, and other. I have almost all of Camus' works, and this one is just one of a kind. Really, I guess he really deserved his Nobel Prize of Literature. Um, he was an incredible guy, not really the deepest one in terms of philosophy, but if you think of him as a literature guy, as a literature author, he was just a genius, man. He was pretty good. The man knows how to write a good book. Like, you can get hooked by a story of a man who just simply doesn't care about what's going to happen to his life, basically. Um, I like to summarize this book as a man who was walking down the beach and found two Arabs. Uh, then he simply got pissed off by the sun and just shot those two dead and just doesn't care about consequences of his actions, basically. Um, it's really absurd, and that's the point of the book, is to just showcase Albert Camus' theory of absurdity, and it does a pretty good job. It's also a good book if you don't believe in his philosophy or haven't read his philosophy at all. Again, I love this man. Love his stories. Love everything about this guy. Really. Next one is a book which you might know, might have seen, The Great Gatsby. Since I'm Brazilian, I guess most of like Americans, maybe those in England, like the United Kingdom in general, actually, maybe those like have a bit more context, a bit more. I don't know, are willing to jump through F. Scott Fitzgerald. Uh, that's not the point. The point is, you probably seen this in probably high school or something. I am not really familiar with other education systems, but this is not common in Brazil, not at all, because we have our own authors and we just tend to like our works better. So yeah, not something introduced in high school here in Brazil. So at the age of 20, I got to read this book. Right now I'm 21, but I read it when I was 20, in the beginning of the year. But just kidding. But yeah, it is an interesting story. You can get really hooked by the second half. Like the first half is a bit slow. You try to understand the story. Don't really enjoy the main character that much. Thinks he's a real ass. Uh, thinks of Gatsby as like this rich guy who doesn't really know what he's doing. Think of the Buchanans as some very dysfunctional couple, but that still can like do something about themselves. And you finish the book thinking like, man, they deserve each other. They do deserve each other. I don't think Gatsby deserved his ending, but maybe he did. Like he was not really, he didn't really have a purpose in his life. So his only purpose was to just be with Daisy Buchanan all the time, and since she didn't want to be with him, I guess like the faith was with him. Like it was better for him. But Nick Carraway, he's just the who in this story. Like I cannot understand the ending of Nick Buchanan in this book, and this gets me really pissed off because um, I didn't think the main character, like the narrator, I mean, the main character is Gatsby, but the narrator of the book would have such a bad ending. Like, it seems like there are pieces missing here, but I did enjoy it a lot. Anyways, into the next second book of Camille in this video. I do read this book like every year. I have read this for the past like 3 4 years. I don't know. This is Betwixt and Between by Albert Camus. Uh, it's a collection of short stories about things like that showcase absurdity, that showcase just sort of diary entries. It's just literary fiction at its finest. Um, it's really real, and it gives you a sense of life in a way that other books don't. If you stop to inspect my tasting reading, you see that I do enjoy things that are palpable. So Camus' books are really palpable in some ways, just in some ways. But this book, like, it's his first published book. I guess it was published when Camille was like 22 or 23 years old. He had just finished his degree, and he published this. Um, After it's the first round, like it became a big deal in Algeria, and in part of France. And after the first round of publishing, Camille just and as Camille matured a bit more of his thoughts, he just gave up on the book itself and just said, no, no, there's no more republishing of this book ever. And then people just started to sell this at really high prices, to a point where Camille, who was sort of a leftist, even though it's a really controversial topic, Camille was really just a rebel. But anyways, at some point, people just started to sell this book at such high prices that Camille was like, no, 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 stop that. No second marketing for this piece of shit. If someone's gonna determine the price of the book, it's gonna be myself. So he said, okay, you can publish another round of this book, and just stopped a second marketing of selling this book in like really high prices. But anyways, I do enjoy this. It's a really light read. If you do enjoy, let me just let me just stop a bit. For some reason, the videos just getting ruined, so I just lowered the FPS a bit. I hope like the video quality doesn't suffer that much. Anyways, so Camille did a great job in this book. It's just a very light read. You can definitely sit around and read it in like an hour if you're like really committed. But if you want to taste some of the short stories, you can definitely go for 2 to 3 hours. I spent like 4 hours reading this book once, and it was really good. I just sat by myself, just annotating a lot of stuff, a lot of thoughts. Thoughtful book. Like you can definitely go like above and beyond with thinking about it, about the facts that are happening here. So great book. Love this. Love this. Love Camille. Next, we have a serious book, not a literature one, which is the Algerian Revolution by Mustafa Yazbek. This is basically a book that talks about the revolution in Algeria, of course, but the civil war that happened there, in order to stop the the French of colonizing the country, like their rebellion against the French, basically. And it just showcases all the social differences, the differences in rights, and just the movements that led into the social movements that led into the revolution itself, and by the liberation of Algeria altogether, and what it cascaded. I don't know that there's a verb in Portuguese called cascatear, which is like a succession of events that leads into something. So yeah, what the succession of events of the Algerian Revolution led into other African countries. So yeah, pretty good book. Just love Algeria's history, mostly because of Albert Camus, which also is cited as in this book. There's like some nice passages about Camus and his relationship with Algeria and with the civil movement, and also his fight with Jean Paul Sartre, which is pretty funny and led me into some searching of a 30-page, not kidding, 30-page rant about Camus' work written by Jean-Paul Sartre. Just peak philosopher drama. That's it. If you're interested, I can do like a whole video about it, but it's pretty niche. Not sure if it's going to be real good. Like if people are going to enjoy it. Anyways, into the next, the the cover of this book is not really what it seems like. That's the cover of the book. But this is like a very low budget paperback of like a bunch of vampire novels, and I've read one of the vampire novels that are in here, which is Carmilla, the Vampire of Karnstein by Sheridan Le Fanu, which is the first ever novel about a vampire. Most of you might might think that it is Dracula, and it uh, it was like drilled into our heads that it is Dracula, but it's not. Sheridan Le Fanu's Carmilla novel is dated before Dracula's novel, and it was censored mostly because of its highly how can I say that? It's highly had to stop just to think about the word, but it's sapphic content. Basically, this is sort of a homoerotic novel about two women, Laura and Carmilla. Like, it's really. I'm not gonna say hot because that is very fetishist, but it's like seducing. Like Carmilla is a very seducing vampire, not gonna lie. And Laura just falls into it. But basically, it's a great novel. If you have the time to read it, it's not graphic at all. Like not really sexual. It's just seducing. But well, enough of Carmilla. Let's go into the next. And also, just a little parenthesis. I got to know the book by a web series called Carmilla, the Vampire of Karnstein, which is a web series that is full of full of episodes. Like all the three seasons are on YouTube, and I guess the movies already in YouTube. Like when I finished it back in I guess 2016, 2018, they were producing a movie and they released the movie. But since I am from Brazil, it was pretty expensive to just spend like $30 in the movie. So yeah, I did not watch it in any way, but I do intend to do this on my holidays, which are approaching, of course. Anyways, back into the next book we go. This one is The Hour of the Star by Clarice Lispector, another Brazilian author. This one is another Brazilian author, this time a woman. Um, Clarice Lispector was well known for her novels, for her journalism work, for uh, her books in general. She was just an incredible woman. She was born in Ukraine. I don't remember which part of Ukraine, but she was born in Ukraine and lived her entire life basically in Brazil. I guess she came here when she was like 6 or something. Um, Spent her entire life in Brazil. Loved the country. Was eradicated here at some point, and just became one of Brazil's greatest author of all time. She was an incredible writer. Most of her works are just part of our educational system, like our high school. Like this is one of the books that you need to read when you're in high school. Most of those, like I didn't have the chance to read this book when I was in high school. Just right now. So sorry. But anyways, this one is kind of a romance, like satirical, a bit satirical. I would say even Gonzo at times. If you don't know what Gonzo is, like a bit further into the video, I'm gonna talk about it a bit. But anyways, um, she she had an interesting approach in this book. Just gonna say that. If you're not familiar with Brazilian literature, definitely wouldn't recommend for a first read. I found it to be a bit confusing at times. Even though I did enjoy the reading, it was a bit confusing. And but it was a great book overall. Like if I would have to rate this one, like a 4 out of 5 would be my best guess. Anyways, into the next, we have Madame Bovary. Madame Bovary was one of the first books I read this year. I read it with my girlfriend. Is it a good book? I don't know. It sounded really boring. Like almost all the way through. As you can see, I only have like flagged one thing in here, and I don't even remember what it is because this book just made me bored most of the times. Um, it's like a woman searching for independence, but she's so boring, and her life is so boring. Like I get it. Like I get why you would want independence because your life is a piece of shit. Like man, come on. Anyways, this was one of the hardest books that I read this year because I mean, look at its size. Not so big if you think, but if you seen the rest of the books that I read here, like this is one of the biggest, maybe the biggest of the bunch. So yeah, hard read. Uh, but there are, as I said, the last book was way harder to read because it was difficult to understand. This one is pretty understandable, but it takes a lot of time to just talk about like the simplest thing. It just goes into so much detail there that sometimes you're just not willing to get so further into that. So yeah. Um, do I recommend this? Like, if you want to read classics, as most of my books are classics, so yeah, if you want to read classics, go ahead and give it a try. Some classics are not going to be that great of a read. Sometimes they're just classics because it is what it is. Someone published it back when no one published anything, so everyone read it, and then it just became a classic. And there are people who are going to find value in books that aren't really that good in your standards, but in their standards is like the best piece of literature they have ever read. And maybe this book was just not for me. So yeah, into the next, another classic. Not really a classic for most of you, but for me it is a classic. Um, let me just get the right. The Diary of a Superfluous Man by Ivan Turgenev. Uh, first, um, first Russian book in this list that you're seeing, even though it was like the third Russian book I read this year. Um, it's the story of a man who is suffering from health problems and just decides in like his last 14 days of life he's going to start to write a diary, and he starts like it's never too late to start a diary, and then he just in the middle of it just decides, okay, there's no way I'm going to be able to talk about all my life in this diary since I can feel that I am dying, actively dying. So I am going to talk about why I did such poor decisions in my life and what led me into being this this man, the man that I am, this superfluous man. And he goes into explaining what he means with superfluous, and it's just a really short read. Um, it is really close to another book that I read this year, which is called Notes from the Underground, which I'm going to talk like last in this video because it's in the pile. I'm not gonna mess up the things here, but anyways, it's really close to this, so I'm gonna talk more about Notes from the Underground and the style and what I enjoy about when I get into it. But this one, good read, would definitely recommend. Next one, another classic. Maybe you guys are familiar with this one, Animal Farm. This one is a bilingual text block. Okay, so in this side we have the in this side we have the original English text, and in this side we have the Brazilian Portuguese translation adaptation. Anyways, so yeah, already read this book like a couple of times. Do I find it really amusing? No, I think it's really overrated, but it is a nice story overall. Like, definitely not what most people think about it. Like, think of it as a showcase of what the USSR USSR was in the uh, and during the Cold War and everything. Like, man, not that deep. Like, Soviet Union was not at all what this book describes, and it wasn't um, George Orwell's intent to replicate any of that reality. So, anyways, it is still a good book if you want to know about authoritarian regimes, but don't go into to further politics into this book because man, it's not that deep. Only read it because my girlfriend has never didn't read this book in any at any time of our life. Like, haven't read this book at all. So we are always reading books together, and I thought it would be a great opportunity since I have like 3 copies of this one. This one because it came in a box of literature books that I signed. Uh, Another one which was my first copy because I wanted to read the book, and the third copy that I have is like it was the only copy available of this piece of work before it became public domain. It was owned by only one um, company, like book company, and they were the only ones that were distributing and just printing this work, and they had a postscriptum by Christopher Hitchens, which is an author that I admire or admired. Anyways, um, and it has a postscriptum by him, and I've always wanted to read it, so I bought the copy after it became public domain, and the price was like 10, 10 bucks, not 10 US dollars, 10 reais, which equals to like $2. So yeah. Into the next we go. We have White Nights by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Fyodor Dostoevsky is probably my favorite Russian author of all times. Already had read some of Turgenev's work. Already had read some of Leon Tolstoy's work, but Dostoevsky has my favorite writing style. And White Knights is not the best capture of his writing style. It would probably be in his more dense works, but it does have that piece that makes me love him, which is some sort of morbidity into his work. A few of my favorite authors have this morbidity into them, and most of them are inspired by Dostoevsky works. Camus was inspired by Dostoevsky works. Goethe, which we're going to be talking about in this video, was inspired by Dostoevsky's work. Even Nietzsche, which I'm not talking about in this video, and I'm not a really fan of, but was a big philosopher. was inspired by Dostoevsky's work when he was talking about nihilism. Anyways, just so many authors were inspired by Dostoevsky, and I know why, man. The man is great. The man's great. White Knights is romance, but not the kind that you're accustomed. Um, it is real. It is not that dense, not that deep, but it does have a plot to it. It just shows like a man who understands things pretty wrongly and just he thinks he's the romantic pair, but he's just the third person in a woman's life, and it hurt him. And that morbidity is just one of a kind. It's separated in three acts, so and it's a pretty short story. So if story or novel, I don't know what to classify this piece of work, but it's just so incredible. Would definitely recommend as your first read of Dostoevsky. You're probably gonna fall in love with him right away, or you're gonna hate him. And if you're not accustomed, if you do not get used to his morbidity, if you do not get used to his plot twist, and the way that he writes the feelings of the character, then you're not gonna be really into all of his works because it's just this times four or five even. Next, we have another really short book. As you guys know, I don't have a lot of time to read, and that's why probably I read like 18 books this year because, well, I read really short books. But the thing is, you gotta put your brain to working. So yeah, next book it is Screwjack by Hunter S. Thompson. Hunter S. Thompson is my favorite author of all times. I like his lifestyle, I like gonzo journalism, and I like his pieces of work. Like, just best author of all time. Just so real, but still so literary and so gonzo and so, like, man, this man was a legend. Like, I would not replicate his lifestyle at all. Like, I don't, I don't think he had like a, a healthy lifestyle, and but he did have healthy relationships or unhealthy if you stop to think about, because he was sort of dependent on alcohol and drugs. Like, his relationship with alcohol and drugs is just crazy if you stop to get to know him personally. He was not a great guy. He was a great guy to go anywhere to have like a conversation, but lifestyle wise, he was like one of a kind. Men smoke so many cigarettes and use so many drugs and just drink so much alcohol throughout the day. They were like they you would burst. Like, man, I don't know how this guy survived so long, and he did not even die naturally or like induced by drugs or alcohol or anything. Like, he didn't overdose, he just killed himself because thought life wasn't funny enough, like life wasn't cool anymore. Like, man, shut up, you're the best. We already love you, why would you do such things? Anyways, and I love to read about his hateful relationship with Nixon. It's just one of a kind. Anyways, Screwjack, collection of short stories, really short stories that just go into the deep mind of a drugged man. Like, just good work. Into the next we go. Hunter S. Thompson's. What is the name in English? Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is his best piece of work that I've read so far. It's his masterpiece. Man, you just gotta read it. Like, it just showcases everything that gonzo journalism is. It's like this real collection of facts that just go into a bit of humor, and it's just humorous, it's just real, and it's also journalistic, like informative in some way. Like it's like the information goes into second plan, but you definitely can find it here. Like you can find the tour from Las Vegas, the Minty 500, uh, or 200, 1000. I don't remember the numbers correctly. But, anyways, it's just, man, it's just one of a kind. I just love this book so much. Read it like two, three times already. And it's one of my favorite books. It just loses for the next one that I'm going to talk about. So, let's go into that. But before I go into my next book, I just wanted to say that I got to know Hunter S. Thompson by a course I did on journalism. I did a short course on not on YouTube, like in those platforms like Hotmart and something, about journalism and writing and literary journalism in specific, and I was just hooked in the concept of Gonzo, and then I got to know more about Hunter S. Thompson's works, and just he just became my favorite author of all times, and dethroned Albert Camus, which was in the throne for like 6 years maybe. Next we have Johann Wolfgang von Goethe's The Sorrows of Young Werther. My my German is a piece of shit. So, anyways, this is my favorite book of all time. I read this one in December every year. I've read it for the past 8 years, 9 years. Like, since I can remember, man, this book's so good. So, so good. Every time that I read it, I get to just um, enjoy the story a bit differently and a bit more fiercely. Like, how can I explain this book? Like, I miss words for this. Um, it's just powerful, man. Powerful book. Romance. It's just vivid, like very graphic. You can feel what the main character is feeling. You can understand his point of view. You can definitely see the scenarios that he's in without being boring. Like Goethe was just on point in this one. Like he did not miss a bullet, man. And it is not that fictional at all because Goethe. I mean, this is a 200-euro book. You know, 300-euro book almost. No, 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 no. 200, 200. It was written in 1774, so let's put it 200-year-old book. So if I say something about it, it's not a spoiler anymore. It's just common sense, common knowledge. Like, come on, man. You should have read it already. If you did not, just pause the video here. Just go to the next book and enjoy it. But this one, man, Goethe was really in love with a Carlotta. He was in love with his best friend's wife. It was real, but he did not kill himself. Of course, he just got this from one for a guy that he knew that did the same. He was like in love with a woman and she did not correspond. They couldn't be together, so he did get um, his best friend, get his best friend gun and shot himself. So that's why like those stories were connected, and Goethe was just so hooked into the thought of that guy just picking up his friend's shot arm and just shooting himself that he sat on the table, just started writing, and he did not stop until he was finished. Spent like, I don't remember if it was 3 days or more. Like, consecutive days writing, and it became this masterpiece, one of the best books I've ever read. Just on point, guys. Do not miss on it. Just go buy a copy. It is already public domain, so you can certainly find a PDF out there if you have Kindle or something. Just read it, man. Not that deep, not that hard. It is a good book. Come on, come on, come on. Into the next we go. It's another collection of short stories. This one has 21 uh, novels from different Brazilian authors from the same literary period. Um, Wait just a second. Okay, so basically, um, Goethe started a trend all around the world. If I am able to say trend in uh, such last times, I mean, in such past times. But anyways, um, he emerged a new genre called Romantism. Romantism was not a genre per se. It was more of a movement around the world. He just inspired people like Mary Shelley, who was participant of that Romantism peak and everything, and it just resonated throughout the world. And in Brazil we had two phases of Romantism that was inspired by Goethe and Mary Shelley's works. One of those we already talked about in here was the first book. Álvares de Azevedo was one of the best Romantism authors here in Brazil, and this one is a collection of novels about Romantism in that were published during the Romantism phase, literary phase here in Brazil. Um, just a collection of all sorts of novels and all sorts of authors. Pretty good book already. Read it as well with my girlfriend. Gave her a copy of this, and we read it together. Into the next and last book we go. This is Fyodor Dostoevsky, Notes from the Underground. I was talking about the Diary of a Superfluous Man by Ivan Turgenev. Most of Russian literature I've read so far just tends to talk about the same thing, like people who have really boring or poor lives. But this guy, he's the underdog. Like he's a poor guy. Like man, he just makes poor decisions, poor social decisions. He just have no social manners. He has no social manners at all. He's just he tries to get the attention of others the wrong way. Like he wants to feel appreciated without appreciating others, and he just tends to be a bit despicable, a bit horrible human being, really. But in the end, he is just a guy who wants to be seen. No one wants to see him. He has a miserable life and lifestyle, has money problems, has work problems, does not have a relationship with anyone other than his maid, which despises him a lot. Uh, it's not his maid because it's a male maid. I don't know if there's. I mean, his maid is a male maid a maid. I don't know, but you get the point. He just despises him, and so he just lives um, this poor life and someone important in other people's lives. Tries to be the center of attention of a story in which he's not even third character, like not even supporting role. Like he's just a passerby. in people's lives. No, 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 in his own life. And he tries to, assert power through the little places like his work. He works in a public reputation, so he has the power to delegate people to do something. Like he delivers a service, so he can be disgraceful with other people. Basically, just I mean, he just has like the ugliest fight with someone that doesn't even know his name, and he has a mental fight. Yeah, it's that much deep, and I mean, this is as good as it gets. If you think about it, it's quite boring, but it's really real, and it's gutful, like it's vicious. It's visceral. That's the word. It's visceral. Most of Russian works are visceral, and I like this visceral, factual life, which is not really factual because it's fictional, but you get it. Like someone can have this despiseful life, this hateful life, uh, in our days. Like he can be right behind you, not right behind you, but he can be around you at somewhere. There is someone who's just so who everyone despises or who isn't really seen, and that can have similar life from the man from the underground. And well, with that, and after 51 minutes of yapping, I leave you guys with this bunch of knowledge. Uh, I hope you make something useful out of it. Started to record this. The sun was right up in the sky, and right now it's um, just going to nighttime. It's just the afterglow. So, anyways, uh, thank you so much for watching. If you watched like 2% of this video, I'm already pretty happy because I love yapping. Yapping about books is my lifestyle. So yeah, thank you so much. Promise you that I'm not gonna forget about recording. And anyways, see you guys sooner rather than later. And bye bye.